Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Terman?
Yes.
All right, your agenda is approved with no changes.
Next item would be the approval of the minutes for the September the 28th, 2021 action. Well, that's an action item. I'll let you read and be fast.
I'd make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion, may I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Go ahead.
Okay, this is about the approval of the September 28th, 2021 minutes. Mr. Yoder?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Cookamuck?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Terman?
Yes.
All right.
Just one quick review was all I was doing.
Speed reader.
Yep.
All right, your minutes are approved, unchanged for September 28th, 2021.
Next item is approval of monthly disbursements. There's no questions. I'll take a motion to approve.
Just for my clarification, the amount we're putting out on the $328,000 that we're approving for the project at the school, that's a normal part of the construction, not a overrun or anything like that.
Not a new expense.
What's that?
Not a new expense.
Not a new expense, that's in the existing normal draw for the contract. Thanks. Better to ask now than later.
One thing I was surprised to see is on Norwell, we had expenses on the HVAC and boiler, and we haven't gotten any bills on that in quite a long time. And I checked to make sure that it was within our existing budget, and it is, but there's no way for me to look at a bill and tell which ones are the school adding additional things and which ones were part of the original budget. So it's really going to have to be monitoring expenditures to make sure we don't go over.
Is there any way to ask Norwell to do a better job of making sure the school understands that Norwell has to do a better job?
It's not doing a better job.
Of at least explaining.
I think it's just Dan Baronato is just going to have to also be monitoring expenses and making sure they don't charge us for more than what we had originally agreed to.
And if I might, I think that is, he's been doing that. However, his I will say, Sunshine produces more of a paper trail. So that makes it quite a bit easier. She's the one that's doing the high school project.
Right.
So we can ask them about that. I think on the HVAC project, you know, we're very close to the end, and so the meetings I've been to, I mean, they're down to what temperature are we going to have as a standard temperature for the weekends and the evenings and that kind of thing. So that's part of why there may not have been that much, and there's a fair amount of things that are kind of being, if there are expenses, a lot of that is being subsumed in the existing contract already. But as you know, just as an update, and of course when Dr. Wheeler's here, he can give you more, but you know, they're still planning on doing some work over the holidays and then hopefully being done after all this time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps any with your questions, but
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, you're right, it's been a few years, but it hasn't been too bad.
well,
Not really. Not like it could be in like some places.
Some places, I mean, considering the pandemic and everything, it's went smoother than it could have, I think.
I think there's been some challenges about not necessarily, since some of those buildings are so old,
Yeah.
they weren't quite prepared for some of the things they found, and were like, gee, now what do we do? This goes this direction as opposed to that direction, and
Exactly.
yes.
But Linda made that point quite often before this contract was signed. Are you sure you know everything based on the age of the buildings?
Some of those buildings have been here even longer than what Jerry's been on the board.
I'll get my stone, my stone tablet out, review it before I say anything. Yeah, I caught it. Yeah, that's a good question on page 6.
Oh, I have one question briefly. On page 6 at the top, Montgomery County Treasurer CARES Task Force. I remember allocating those funds way back when the first round of funding we received. I just can't remember how long does that last, and we have a plan of this. What's the vision of this task force? Is this going to become a budget item? I know we had several conversations.
Hopefully it doesn't.
That's a
What
chunk of
we
money.
asked, we and the other counties asked them, because we had not gotten billed in a couple of quarters. And so they finally got us a bill, and we said, can we release everything else? And they said, no, they need everything they had provided. If you look in your packet, there was a receipt from CARES, and it has how much is obligated. So at the end of September, we had $41,981 obligated to them, and here we're paying $23,832, and they're telling us they're going to need every bit of the rest of that $41,000.
So this is the first draft that they've received of it.
Well, the first one since maybe March.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long
I
time.
know.
But this would be the first draft of the new budget here.
Correct. Yeah. But we've got it marked as obligated, we know exactly how much, and you can see we're showing right now, we still have $23,995 unobligated. However, we're now doing the COVID cleaning again. We've had outbreaks in various buildings, and after the first outbreak in a building, we have to pay for the cleaning, and so that $23,995 sounds like a lot.
It's going fast.
Yeah.
I just remember us talking about this during our budget work session. I just don't, for the remainder of the time I'm sitting here, I just don't want to give anybody the impression that we're, personally, I don't think that was the direction we were interested in, or that we were going to continue to support this. I was just curious if there were any comments about that.
I'm gonna still say that I would like to see an audit of all money spent. Period, end of story. I mean, we've given a lot of money, and a lot of other counties have given a lot of money, and I don't think,
Specific to that task force?
yeah, to the task force as well as to, specifically the task force, yes, but, because it all went through Montgomery County. So, I just would like to see it. I'd like to see
And there
it.
will be one. I mean, since it's federal funds,
I
as
know.
part of their annual audit, the federal funds are audited, but,
And they're doing it now, I would
and they're
assume.
doing it now, so we'll see something that was done through June 30th, but we probably won't get it till about December when you get the ones for us. We'll be
Okay.
getting theirs about that same time.
Somebody could mention that we'd like to see it here in
No,
Floyd.
I just kind of wanted to keep it at everybody's mind, because I'd forgotten about it really until I'd seen that. I'm like, man, this money's, it's earmarked.
Yeah.
Dwindling.
Yeah.
I will say we are trying our best to make sure that we utilize all that funding that's going to them as much as possible. So we kind of stepped up how often we ask them for assistance and
Absolutely.
PPE and all of those kind of things as often as we can. And generally, I did not this morning, but we usually, because it was conflicted with this meeting, but we have a call every Monday at 8 a.m. and kind of keep up on it doesn't have anything, to Ms. Cookham's point, anything to do with the finances, but it does generally let us know how things are going with the pandemic, and there's usually a mental health report as well.
And that's happening right now because of the holiday yesterday. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Am I understanding this right, that we have a few $1,000s that aren't obligated, that are
As of September 30th, we had $23,995. Since then, in this report, you'll see there was a little bit spent, $894 to Diamond Paper for sanitizer refills. And then, of course, and we've also had some cleanings from Finn and Fenwick that we have not paid for yet.
And that money all has to be expended by
December 31st.
31st. So we may be in another situation this fall that we have a few $1,000s left, maybe, or hard to say.
Well,
Depends.
it depends.
I'm just wondering about the same thing we did last year with some of the food banks. If we had a few $1,000s left, if not, I'm just.
Well, we got a request from the school board for some money for some things they have already expended.
Okay.
And they wanted it out of either ARPA or CARES. I think their first thing was ARPA, but Dr. Millsaps and I talked about maybe it could come out of CARES. But we could kind of wait till the end, and if we haven't expended, we could.
Yeah, and if I might follow up, Mr. Chair, Ms. Yoder. So yes, the schools submitted late last week an additional, they put in a grant request for the ARPA, out of the ARPA funds. And it is, exactly as Cindy mentioned, it is to cover various, it's mostly PPE and cleaning supplies, essentially. So we looked at, Dr. Wheeler had asked I'd look at it, and Cindy and I talked about it in their original request, went back a little bit further than you could have covered under ARPA funds. So that has been revisited and resubmitted, and so it was my intention to get that all to you all, so my apologies, I need to send it along to you all. But it has a spreadsheet of everything, all the specific purchases, and it came in right around $30,000. And so as Cindy noted, we were talking about, well, that would be something that would potentially could come out of, if we have some CARES money left, it could come out of that, or ARPA funds, or you all could say no. I mean, those are obviously your options.
Is that not something we could pull back from the task force? Is there any potential for?
Out of that fund?
We can try. I'm gonna guess not, but we can give it a shot. They can only just say no.
That's right.
My impression from the task force, when we said, can we release the remaining money we have to use, that they've got plans for every cent.
I'm sure
Is
there's.
the way they.
Plans for and actually giving are two different things.
But we
And I don't mean that ugly.
But we have obligated that money to them, it's not like.
Yeah, we
So they've got a lot of plans.
We have
for that
to
staff
honor
that are
our
all-
word, but,
Anyway.
well, I'm usually the one to stir it. A little bit of problem with somebody spending money and then asking for,
Yeah.
somebody should have been talking before that expenditure if they didn't have the money to pay for it.
Or they're just trying to cover it with those kinds
So
of
I
funds.
did mention to Dr. Wheeler that I suspected y'all would have some questions.
Well, I figured he figured there's some gonna do. I don't mean that ugly. but
Yeah, I mean, I don't either, but come on.
We generally expect people to ask about funding before they expend the money versus,
Showing up with the bill.
yeah.
He and I discussed a little bit about this, but since he is on the agenda, I think instead of trying to speak behind him and sorry with y'all, we'll just let him
Yeah.
answer directly to y'all. I don't want to make the mistake of misquoting. or
Absolutely.
mispronouncing.
We wouldn't want to do that.
I don't have anything else on the bills, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else?
A while back I'd asked, I saw the hauling numbers on the trash. Did we ever get a number for what our daily numbers are?
I asked Cheryl that question, and,
Haven't got back to
no, he
you.
got back to me. He said, well, some days it's 3 a day, some days it's 5 a day. He didn't really have an average. He says, it can be anywhere from 3 to 5 a day.
Okay, maybe we could start tracking that, because we are paying a bill based
Well,
on.
Angie has all that information. I mean, in your bill, she's got the invoice that has
Right.
how many we're paying for.
At a time,
Yeah,
right.
She could tell you by month.
What
by
is
week,
that,
by
and that's
every
on a
2
month,
weeks.
that is on a monthly basis, so
Yes.
we can figure out the average
Yes.
from that.
Yeah, she
For a
could do
month,
that
how
very
many working
easily.
days?
Yeah.
She could take the expenditures for the year and divide it by the hauling cost per thing and tell you what it's been from any period.
Pie charts and graphs.
Yeah.
and all
Yeah, all that good stuff.
The answer's all
Bar graph.
But his answer was pretty much that Gary could expect it to do from 3 to 5 loads a day.
Mention on that subject, and before I forget it, these roll-offs, is there a time limit when whoever rents one of them
They,
finishes a job to pick it up?
they can keep renewing it every 30 days. It's a 30-day 30-day rental of it, and they can renew, and some of them have renewed and renewed and renewed. I don't think there's a deadline as long as they're paying their,
Okay, well, that's no problem then, because I know a house that's been completed for a couple months and roll-off's still sitting there.
until they call and say they're finished, and as long as they're paying their bill, they keep it.
Good enough, that's on them, not us.
But if we gave the address to Angie, she could check and make sure that they are paying their bill.
Repo our roll-off.
Keep it 3 years on that bills coming in. Alrighty, floor still open for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second, any other discussion?
All right.
You set?
All right. And so this is on approval of your monthly disbursements as presented. Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder,
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes,
and Mr. Turner.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Your disbursements are approved.
I think we got about 10 minutes if you want to put up some of the others down here. Keep us moving on.
Moving on.
Help these resolutions.
Is this moving on up?
Mhm.
I don't know, there's warrants, I have to say, the warrants is a new one for me, so I'm gonna be looking at Cindy just a minute here to teach both Kim and I what it is we need to do in this section.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. You've got 3 different warrants in front of you to get Kim on and take me off. The first one's for the general county fund, which is the one that almost all your bills are paid out of. And like I said, all this is doing is taking me off and adding Kim. We'll have to get new bank cards and have all the authorized signers sign again. I have it dated effective October 15th because I've signed these, but we want for the next check run for Kim to be able to sign them.
Gotcha.
I'd make a motion, we approve the resolution that's designated as 9A, authorizing the signing of warrants.
Second.
Mr. Chair, for those folks who weren't here, I don't know if we need to, at this point or later, actually introduce.
Just go ahead and introduce her so the people in the back knows who we're talking about.
Yeah, so thank you. I apologize for jumping in this manner. So as you know, Cindy has decided that she's going to retire at the end of this month. And so we'll be working on something cool we'll try to do about that. But of course, we had to go out and try to find somebody who could at least try to fill parts of her shoes. Although what Cindy does is so voluminous, we are aware we will have to shuffle some responsibilities around and those kind of things. But we've been very fortunate to have Kim join us. And most recently, she's been working with social services and so has come to know Floyd very well through that manner. But her background related to business and human resources and accounting and finance is far, far more extensive than that. And so, Mr. Chair, if it'd be all right, I'd let Kim introduce herself.
Good morning, everybody. Like Dr. Millsap said, I'm Kim Cheeto, originally from New York. through Florida to here, and very grateful to be here and found our forever home. So I have no, and I believe delusion would be the right word, thinking that I can fill anywhere near Cindy's shoes and everything that she's contributed and does. But my intent is to make sure I can capture everything I can from her and be a part of this in the county. So thank you.
We live in the world of mandates anymore. Maybe the chair should mandate we don't accept any retirements for the next 2 years. And just Gina stays as our assistant. Go ahead. For our next.
All right, so I think we need to take a vote still, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry. We have a motion by Mr. Booth and a second by Mr. Coleman, if my notes are correct. And if I might, I'll go ahead and call the roll. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Yoder?
Yes.
Ms. Kookabuck?
Yes.
And Mr. Thurman?
Yes.
All right, so 9A, General County Warrants for County of Floyd is approved unanimously.
Next was a resolution for signing county administrative petty cash fund warrants for the county of Floyd.
I'll make a motion. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, this account's just about, that has $1,000 in it. It's the one we usually use when you're buying flowers for somebody, and we pay for it and ask for you guys to reimburse it. Sometimes it's registrations when you're going someplace and they don't accept, or they have deadlines that we can't meet because of the way the registration falls versus the, when we're doing check runs. But again, it's to take me off and put Kim on.
I'll make a motion we approve.
I'll second.
Motion is second, any other discussion? Call the roll.
So the resolution for signing county administrator petty cash fund warrants for the county of Floyd, Mr. Yoder?
Yes.
Ms. Kookabuck?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
And Mr. Thurman?
Yes.
All right, that is unanimous so you have approved that resolution 9B.
Next item, 9C, resolution for signing Recreation Department Virgil Allen Memorial Fund warrants for the county of Floyd.
And I wanted to talk a little bit about this one. Back when you took over the rec authority and made it the recreation department, we actually have 2 recreation accounts. One was for the ones they used to make deposits and write checks from. We left that one open because there was no knowing what checks had been written, and we wanted there to be plenty of time to allow them all to clear. And for quite a while, things were coming in that we didn't know about, and we were letting them clear. But it's been at least 6 months with no activity on the normal account at all. And I didn't put it on here, but I'm looking for consensus to close that account out and just put it into the general fund. The second one here is the Virgil Allen Memorial Fund. That was something that was started at the time Mr. Allen passed away. In fact, it was the county administrator, myself, and all of you who made contributions to establish that fund to help parents who had children who were interested in participating in sports but couldn't afford the registration fees. So I'm sure we all want that one to continue. So I'm looking for a consensus to close the one and a motion to put Kim on as a signer on the other.
I just have one thing, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
I'm fine with the consensus of doing that, and I fully support the resolution for 9C. And this may be just me, but if this board it's in my opinion, if this board is going to, make this resolution to authorize these changes, and I think we should be able to see or know the activity that's going on within this fund, and if that is already available and I have missed it, I apologize in advance, but I don't recall seeing it. But again, I fully support it. I would just think that it would be due diligence of the board to be aware of the incoming and outgoing of this account.
Yes.
And please don't add or take away from that. That's just purely as an accountability standpoint of making this motion.
I have talked to, yes, I agree with you, and I talked to Mr. A.G. about this because there has been no activity in the Virgil Allen Fund since it became a department. And I reminded him that this fund existed and I hoped it would be utilized as needed.
I feel like
For the purpose it's
set up.
only.
Correct.
I feel like it, that's great potential. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that'd be more than happy to give to do this. As Mr. Yoder's had a vision very long ago since I've been here about giving kids opportunities.
There's a lot of kids out there who go out to play, but
Absolutely.
can't afford this,
But there's no report because there has been no activity.
I'm fully willing to support it. I just want some, personally, it may just be me, but some reporting on that account.
Absolutely.
If we can agree to that, I'll be happy to make a motion that for 9C that we authorize the county administrator to make necessary changes on the account as presented on the resolution labeled 9C.
Second. He got it before I. Quick draw.
motion second, go ahead.
All right. So the motion is on 9C, resolution for signing Recreation Department Virgil Allen Memorial Award warrants as with the changes made by Mr. Coleman
With reporting, yes.
with reporting. And so we will start. Is that right? Okay. Make sure I said it right. Start with Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Yoder,
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
and Mr. Turner.
Yes.
All right.
And
Can
that
I-
also includes the consensus to contend, yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
Well, that's all right, since you didn't ask for a discussion, so I didn't get to say my part. So, well, we got it took care of. Given the pandemic and given people being out of work and whatever, I'd like some kind of explanation as to why that was not utilized during this time period with the, and I know we had reduced activities, but I find it hard to believe that there wasn't somebody that could have used from that fund and the intent of it.
All right.
Is there an application process to?
Do you know?
Because I'm not sure that I'm even aware that the fund existed before today personally.
Yeah, I will take this up again with Mr. A.G.
I knew there was
and
one in place and it's not advertised because
Yeah.
it wasn't advertised when it was the rec authority because it could create an embarrassing situation for families.
Yeah.
And so I understand why they didn't, but if they had someone that they knew wanted to participate, but the family didn't have money, that's my understanding when it was the rec authority, that's where it came from. And that was what it was set up for.
It was used in very limited ways, but we knew of situations where
Right.
it was actually needed. It wasn't just a situation where someone had the money but wouldn't pay. It was
Right.
It was definitely needed, so it was used. But you're right, we tried not to advertise it because
Well, for various
For
reasons,
privacy
of
reasons.
course, but,
I get that.
and so that's why it wasn't, but it looks like, I know there's been some activity throughout the pandemic of the last year. It looks, and maybe he wasn't aware, I don't know, but
Yeah,
I would have thought he should have.
been-
Being new, he may not have been aware of it.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was gonna bring up. There might, not have been the, reality of what that fund was and what it was for. And, I think you spoke, Mr. Booth, about the fact that we have had reduced numbers and, this is a good opportunity to just bring it to his, attention and, of course, use, discretion whenever providing these kinds of funds, because like you said, it can be very, it's difficult, so, but thanks.
I'll give seeing as Mr. Coleman mentioned my name there earlier about I'll give my spiel again.
Sorry.
Oh, no, thank you for the opportunity. I still believe that at some point we need to get in the position where we can offer one free sport per year per child. Because I don't think it has to be the same sport. It don't have to be soccer one year and baseball the next. I would love to see every child rec age be able to play one time a year, one season for free. Because I think there are some children that their parents have the funding to do it, but the child may not be that involved in sports now, and they say, why am I going to spend $50 and after 2 practices the kid quits? And I think if we can get some of those children in the door, some of them are going to stick there and enjoy it and start doing other things and get exercise. So it's not just about the ones that can't play. I think it's some that can pay, but I think it's just, why am I going to spend $30, $40, $50? They might not even want to play after they get a practice in, you know, and so they just never show up. And I think we need to get that opportunity out there. If we never do it, it would be one.
You know, I actually know a case where the girl signed up to play softball. First time she got hit,
Yeah.
threw her glove down and said, I'm done. And she would not go back, so her parents lost.
Right. And there's a lot of parents, I think, that just don't ever go because they think their child isn't that type of person that would want to do it, but
Right.
you don't never know. And if it was free for once a year, they very well may. And I mean,
Give them a big bite of the apple where they know whether or not.
exercise and teamwork and stuff is so important for children to learn. I think it's
And
working with
during
others.
this pandemic, they need something to
They
get
need
outside.
to get outside and, yeah, I just think that, so anyway, I'll save that for budget time.
One clarification on this memorial account, does it take 2 signatures on the checks or 1?
I'm pretty sure it's 2. I mean,
Could we double check that?
I know on the rec authority ones, there was 2.
yeah, but
We
it's
need to
whatever
make,
it was.
we need to make sure
Whatever.
it's 2, like
Yeah.
everything else. I mean, just to be uniform.
Because we struggled at the end when we were losing chairman and treasurers
To keep up.
to get the right amount of, yes.
Yeah, get the check
Get the new person on the list and, yeah, that was,
Alrighty, so I think we had a consensus on that. So. Moved over, I'll read the handicap statement for our public comment period. Is the intent that all persons attending the meeting of the board, regardless of handicap and conditions, shall have an opportunity to participate. If any person present requires any special assistance, please let the board know in order that arrangements can be made. With that, I'll open the public comment period. If you make a comment, please state your name, the district you're from, limit your comments to 4 minutes. And this is a one-way conversation. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, may I remove my mask while
Yes, sir.
I speak?
I know it's hard for grieve and talk.
My name is David Whitaker. I'm a proud voting taxpayer of the town of Floyd and the courthouse district. I appreciate you giving me time to speak. I did not intend to come today to speak any public comments, but something happened last week that changed my mind. This past Thursday, October the 7th, at the Floyd Town Council, citizens sat in stunned silence as one of your supervisors personally attacked me for speaking out in support of the Sheriff's Department, the private taxpayer, and the courthouse district. And during citizens' comments at this board, I in no way signaled her out or threatened her as she accused me of doing. Read the transcripts of my remarks on that night. Ms. Kuchenbuck is not a resident of the courthouse district, and unless I move into her district, does not represent me. No other supervisors indicated any problem with my remarks, especially my supervisor. You know, healthy debate is a hallmark of civil society and should be encouraged. Next time that you have a problem with me, the proper path would be to pick up the phone, I'm in the book, and discuss it with me personally and privately. instead of airing it to the public at a public meeting. You're not a resident of the town of Floyd or in my district. If you cannot take constructive criticism, then perhaps you need to rethink your position of trust. Represent your own constituents for a change. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name's Roger Dickerson. I live here in the courthouse district. I come not with a script or anything. I just want to state what's on my mind and on my heart. I went to I guess the ribbon cutting or shovel breaking, whatever you call it, at the industrial park. And got a look at the sketch or the map or blueprint at the size of the building and everything. And I was very disappointed. This is not the kind of shell building that I think Floyd County really wanted. One thing, it's way too small, way too small. We're looking at, we need something at least the size of the deck building. But we're not going to get it. And for $2 million borrowed against the building, and maybe plus, maybe more than that, to build a building that's not competent to the size of a manufacturer to even consider coming into that building. It is ridiculous. To me, it's money thrown into a rat hole. I just said that you just stop construction on it and start from scratch and start over again. Keep the $2 million you borrowed and add to it. I know you're going to have another tax increase. Let's get money big enough money that will build a shell building that will draw industry into this county. Now I know that some of you guys have no idea what it takes to get an industry to come into a small community. But I know it's hard for a lot of different reasons. But it's capable, you can do it. It's been done everywhere else, and it can be done here. But it's, you know, I was thinking about what Dale Prophet told me one time. Back in the days when I was in the Chamber of Commerce, and it just started, and I was trying to get an economic development committee started in the chamber. And Dale, I approached him one day and wanted to get him involved in the chamber. And he wasn't all that interested, but he made the comment. He says, "Roger, you know what would be good for this? Be good to get." And I really set me back when he said it. He said, "You know, a condom factory would be good because it would always stay busy." Maybe he was just being facetious or whatever, but anyway, this little building wouldn't even work even for a condom factory. I'm sorry, gentlemen, this is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. Let's start over. Let's start over again and get this thing right. If you can't get it right, then somebody needs to step down and let somebody else do the job for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Jennifer Leary, Courthouse District. Good morning, members of the board. I come before you today to bring your attention to the state of the Floyd Rec Center playground. When the coronavirus shut my son's daycare in spring 2020, he was 1.5 years old, and we desperately needed to find outdoor spaces where he could continue working on his motor skills and social skills. We reached out to friends for recommendations on playgrounds, and we were a little puzzled as to why nobody suggested the centrally located rec center playground. We visited there anyway, and although I have to say it has a very nice picnic shelter, we soon understood why nobody had spoken positively about it. This is what we saw. Baby swings hanging by knotted and broken ropes. A sandbox where the sand level was so low that you could see through to the bottom lining fabric. A big play structure with a broken staircase 6 feet up in the air. Equipment where the plastic outer coating had peeled off, causing the metal grating to be exposed, rusted, and cracked. We saw signposts everywhere standing around the playground with no signs. The signs just ripped out and gone. And recently I went and counted every single park bench had at least one missing or split panel. There was trash flying around, and there was no trash can to be seen. Sometimes there would be tournaments at the baseball fields while we were there, and I really wondered what the visiting families thought about Floyd when they wandered up to the playground. The truth is that Floyd is a great place for kids to grow up. Obviously you all care about the kids, as the recent discussion about the sports program just showed. But unfortunately, this is not the impression you'd necessarily get by visiting that playground. There is so much potential for that space to make an impact for the Floyd community. It's much larger than most playgrounds in the county. It is in a great location, and it's a public park, unlike many others which are built by churches or schools, as welcoming as they are. For these reasons, my son and I continued coming back, and I grew more comfortable with him running up over the broken stairs, trusting that he wasn't heavy enough to fall through. When there were other families, we really enjoyed the opportunity to make new friends and broaden our connections in the Floyd community. But unfortunately, conversation often did turn to the rundown condition of the park. From these conversations, I can tell you that there is a desire among your constituents to see improvements. We parents organized a volunteer cleanup day. Jacob Adji, the director of the rec department, was extremely helpful, spending one of his Saturday mornings helping us pull weeds and bringing 500 pounds of sand to refill the sandbox. Parents are willing to get involved, to help with fundraising or do anything we can. And we know we're not asking you to wave your hands and make a beautiful playground for Floyd. But the truth is, from a citizen's perspective, it appears that additional funding and allocation of resources to the rec department are needed to create a safe, healthy, positive public playground for our kids. Even a small amount can make a difference. For example, the playground is badly in need of mulch to suppress weeds and create a smooth play surface for kids. And a dump truck load of playground quality mulch tree bark from Griffin Lumber I recently saw costs $120. A bear-proof trash can is very needed because the current approach to avoiding trash is to eliminate trash cans. It's not an effective approach. People just throw their trash on the ground. And this doesn't work. There are also safety issues. A friend recently told me that her daughter, who's about 2 years old, did fall from one of the high-up ledges. And you certainly wouldn't see this kind of opportunity for a safety hazard if the play structure were built to today's safety standards. Her daughter turned out to be okay, but that kind of thing is what gives us parents pause about continuing to visit there. I've heard that there may be a long-term plan, but the playground does need maintenance and improvements now in the meantime. Again, I'm not here just to complain. We parents really want to help, but it seems to be quite common for counties to maintain playgrounds for the youth and families in their communities. Looked around at Henry County, Patrick County, Carroll County, and they all maintain decent public playgrounds. And I'm not trying to make a comparison. There are different circumstances everywhere. And obviously there's a complicated history behind the Floyd Rec Department, and a lot of improvements we can see have been made in the past few years. But I hope it doesn't seem unreasonable for me to bring this issue to your attention today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, I'll declare the public comment period closed.
I wanna thank Ms. Leary for, the positive way that you gave constructive criticism. That was refreshing, and, thank you so much, and I think this board will take it to heart, and our staff, so thank you for that.
Yes, I agree with Lauren. Thank you for coming forward. We've discussed the staircase before, and I thought it had been repaired. I haven't been there in a while, so I don't know.
The staircase has been repaired approximately 8 times.
Since we talked.
No, but in total, and including once since we talked.
Right, and we were talking about possibly getting maybe the high school welding people to just make a new section.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, so where we are on that particular item, not the rest, but just on that particular item is, we have reached out to the original company that put all that together, and they're supposed to be coming out here in the next week or two and letting us know if it's included in warranty or not, and if not, then what our price would be to get the exact same one, because it's pretty apparent. I think some of the folks did go up there, and to my point about being fixed 8 times, I think it is to the point it has to be replaced, and so that is something that is on the agenda. But and I certainly also appreciate Ms. Leary's comments. Not to give an excuse, but maybe at least a partial explanation of some of it. As you all know, our maintenance staff has been out, and so we are now, later in the meeting, we will discuss that. But hopefully, as we're able to get maintenance staff back, that we'll be able to look at that and pursue some other things to step it up. And I was aware Ms. Leary has, and her volunteers have been out there, and that is most appreciated. And also, you all know the Partnership for Floyd folks came out and volunteered to clean the trail on a weekend as well. So your community is doing an excellent job of doing their part to try to help out. So.
And she's also correct, because the last time I was there with my grandchildren, there were no trash cans out, and I'm sure they're in the building, that little bathroom, but the bathroom door was locked. That could have been done by a citizen or whatever, because the previous time, the trash cans had been dumped at that, I'm sure it was a bear or some animals or something that dumped them inside the building, but, and she's correct on the swings, and they were taken down, but to my knowledge, they've never been replaced. And they've been down quite some time. And we do definitely need to look at the benches if that's...
Yes.
I haven't sat on them, so I don't know, but apparently I don't think they'd have brought it up unless there was problems with them, so...
Yes. Absolutely.
And I understand their maintenance person situation, but also the director's not just an administrator. It's a hands-on position as well, so.
Yes. Well, and in addition to talking to Mr. Agee about this, of course, I'll bring these specific list of concerns that Ms. Leary was kind enough to give us to Mark Bolt's attention. As you all know, we've moved him into the facilities, in addition to being the building inspector, also is in charge of facilities, and so he's been accumulating lists of all these types of things and trying to prioritize and get some help. But we'll make sure all of those things are on there and move them up for timeliness as much as we can, because obviously it's a very important issue. Thank you.
I've got one more question on the matter. Just sitting here thinking about funding, is there any chance that one of these federal funding sources, either the CARES Act or the last one, but either one of those could be used for that type of thing, because we're using it for outdoors, given opportunities? It may be something to look at, because especially with the latest one, if we were able to just completely redo the whole playground itself with those federal funds, that would be a great opportunity to do it. I don't know if that's any possibility of that, but.
You should be able to tie it in as being a health issue that getting
Well, you're getting
air
an
and
outdoor
exercise
space
and,
that you
you know,
can,
everything.
I don't know, just a thought, but I mean, if, there may be an opportunity there that.
Something to look into,
That
definitely.
we could just redo the whole thing and be done with it rather than mix it.
Band-aid it.
Just to the point Ms. Leary made, and I appreciate you coming as well. I've been standing on this platform since about the spring of the year with increased, at times, levels of frustration. And one point that I would like to note is so well articulated is what other teams and places would think of our facilities. And it's not always about money. There's a lot of things I feel like in just general upkeep that could improve the hospitality of our facilities. And I don't feel like that's happening. I've mentioned that many times, and as it's been said here today, just the simple fact of trash goes a long ways. And when we invite other teams to come here, it's been many times I've been at those games and I've been embarrassed. And it's not just me, the community recognizes it, a lot of other coaches and parents realize it. Those things don't cost money, they cost time, and it needs to be resolved.
And I will say too, if we don't take care of that playground and get it, I think with some ideas that Mr. Yoder has brought forth with the ARPA monies, when we put a new building up there and then don't address the playground, it's not just about optics, it's about what we're saying to our residents. And I think we need to keep that very much in the forefront of how we proceed.
I think maybe it'd be a good time to do a survey as we start construction of just general needs there, and this board can have it looking forward. There's lots of resources that Mr. Booth has mentioned many times about getting with Mr. Thompson's class, fixing some of these things, and some of the, I'm sure there's programs where some of those kids would like to build benches that we can have. I feel like there's options out there, we just need to look into it.
Absolutely.
You know, you've got your building trades.
Exactly, that's what I'm here about.
Both, by all of them.
Well, no, welding benches is a really great idea.
Yeah, they need projects.
Yeah,
Invest in our own community.
yeah.
In his own,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they can leave a legacy while they're in high school. I mean, what a cool thing that is.
Weld their class number on a piece of metal.
Yeah, yeah.
There's adult classes coming too, I believe, in the welding class.
Mhm.
There should be some opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's connect them.
Thank you. We'll follow up. Appreciate that.
we're ready. We're 2 or 3 minutes early, but Mr. Clark looked like he's a busy man, so we have.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was here a little bit early, not as early as I'd like. There's just a couple of administrative kind of things I think I have to discuss with each of you, and I'll get with you later on in the week and get to that, as opposed to bringing them up right now. There's nothing major, but just a couple of things that we've been talking about in the past. As for the Vdot report on maintenance items, we've been doing a wide variety of our normal summertime, early fall maintenance, getting the gravel roads, hauling stones, some dust control. Have done some pipe work, pipe cleaning on various routes, and some replacement pipe on 221 and out on Reed Lane, as well as catching up on mowing, trying to get the mowing completed for the year, and there's been some brush removal, tree cutting. We've done some low trim brush cutting on Sunny Ridge and Stonewall. Some more of that planned. Also planned on getting some asphalt on Shooting Creek. There's some kind of rough patching that needs to be done. It will be done with a motor grader, so it's not going to be like an overlay, but there will be some patching on Shooting Creek. Continue larger mowing. 6-year plan has been wrapped up for the year. We finished Roger Road. We're working on right of way for several roads in anticipation of next year's construction season. And just for your information, I was Mr. Booth and I were at town council meeting last month. They brought up a couple issues that have been, kind of on their list for a while, particularly rural addition of a private road, overlay of Oxford Street, and some crosswalk things, and just keep you informed in general. We'll let you know when we get finalized on some of that. But those are some issues that town council had, and I'm going to plan on attending town council meetings a little more regularly, not every month, but about 4 times a year maybe. That's all I have right now.
Mr. Coleman.
Thanks for coming. I don't have anything. I spoke to Mr. Sowers last week, and I think everything in my district's moving in the right direction. He's following up on a couple things, issues regarding ditching and grading and the things that he and I talked about, so appreciate your time. And thanks for all you do for us. And I will do my due diligence to reach out to you this week about these memorial projects.
That was the item I had for you. So
Yes, sir.
we'll get
That's on me, and I apologize.
that was fine, yeah. We got a couple
It's
of
been very busy week.
Oh, yeah.
I want to thank you and every worker for what you're doing. I know you're going wide open as you can. I really appreciate the latest paving work on Fox Street, but
Yeah.
any idea on the repair time on
A little mishap out there.
that? Well, it wasn't a mishap. You had people that were impatient, wouldn't wait, drove up on the sidewalk, collapsed and broke part of the curbing where the
my
water
gosh.
goes
Right there,
in
drop inlet, yeah.
because they couldn't wait 5 minutes. And with that in mind, well, first of all, any idea on the repair time?
I don't know. I know we've got it scheduled
Okay, on the list. I haven't talked to the town. That is a town street under VDOT's.
Correct.
And it is considered a secondary street?
Yes.
Then I haven't talked to the town about it. I'm requesting it be made a one-way street, and I would like, if this board would agree, make Fox Street a one-way street coming from Penn to Oxford.
Oh.
That's not the first time. We've had people running yards. We've had all kind of problems down there, and the town may oppose it, but I had at least one of the citizens down there request it because of the traffic and problems that they're having with them getting in their yard. And it's plenty wide enough for 2 vehicles to pass is the problem. But it's the perception with that new sidewalk in there, and people are just, but at least look into
Sure,
it,
yeah,
and I will
study.
reach out to the town council. I would have a hit and miss had left, but, yeah, I said it. I will reach out to the town council to try and get their input on it too, but as a secondary road, I'm requesting it be looked into to be made one way, and the traffic flow be from Penn to Oxford. Because people are using it for a shortcut. That's what part of the problem is, to avoid the stoplight and other things, and it's just creating a hazard in that area.
Are you saying that's the bypass?
That is the bypass, not the one I've suggested years ago, but that is the bypass.
Well, just like that,
And
I use it that way coming here. I use it the way you're talking.
Yeah.
Also, and I know it's probably in the works, but, and I know the Facebook and the fibers created, but we really do need some shoulder attention on Route 8 from the district line with Mr. Coleman back toward town. I don't know about your end, but there's some rather large holes. I know 1 or 2 on Benwade Hill there that, but besides the guardrail leaning over, I mean, there's some actually large holes that you could lose a mini in it, I think.
Yeah, on the southbound side for sure.
But if we could get, before winter comes, if we could get that. And, again, thank you for what you're doing, and believe it or not, that's all I had, and I don't have one more thing.
Not yet.
Not yet.
This is a red letter day.
Yeah, market. It doesn't happen often, does it?
Jerry, now, the one more thing, you don't think about it at this point in the meeting.
So, I appreciate the Sunny Ridge attention, but the Sunny Ridge attention was because there was a pretty serious accident on it. And I know that your department was called out. I think it's one of those things where we keep talking about Sunny Ridge, and, you know, suffice it to say that perhaps there's speed involved on those situations, but there is so much brush that overhangs that it's a really difficult road. And I was just out there with some clients the other day, and yeah, it's troublesome for sure. And attention to it would be much appreciated. Another one that we don't talk much about, but it has sustained a lot of wear and tear on the with this rain that we've been having. You know, we're still in a drought, but we've had some significant rains. Last rain dropped anywhere from 5 to 7 to 8 inches of rain in spots across our county, and Harvestwood Road, from 221 all the way to to Franklin Pike is very bad right now, and I'm not sure when the last time a grader saw it or put some gravel on it, but that needs attention as well. Also out that way, the proverbial Thompson Road needs some work. Whatever can be done on it to help make it a little bit better would be helpful. I was showing land in and around Starbuck, and Starbuck to Paradise to that whole area from the Parkway is a gauntlet. So you might want to look at that. And what else? And can you give us an update on the planning for the four-way stop at Shooting Creek? And
That was the item I had to talk to you about, and I'll give it to you later in the week.
Okay, got it. Okay, understood. All right. And that's it, yeah.
Thank you for coming today, David. I just have two things. First of all, Lick Ridge. I had a gentleman call me recently and wanted to thank me for helping get the work done on Lick Ridge. So that was a thank you. Also had a gentleman call me and give me a pretty good talking to about how bad it was out there. So, and that happened. So I don't know, two different locations maybe. But
Yeah,
anyway,
it's a long road.
it's a, I think part of the issue out there is there's one curve that is uphill that it'll get washboardy in 2 days after you run a grader over it. And I talked to some of the guys that run the graders the other day. I saw them somewhere eating lunch or something, chatted with them, and they were like, we can run a grader through there, and then just a few hours sometimes, depending on who comes through, it's getting rough again because people are just flying up that hill. And there's a lot of people live. There's 40 some houses, I think, out on Lick Ridge, and so all it takes is 3 or 4 good teenagers to go up through there lickety split, and it's just back the way it was, you know. So anyway, that's just probably something they're going to have to continue to work on. The one other one I have is Meadow Run Road, which is in check from the country store crossroads back toward the Parkway. And I spoke to one of the gentlemen up at Check about it. If there was any way they could take that machine that's cutting brush and go down that road at least part of the way. There's a couple houses that are probably within the first half a mile or 3/4 of a mile that are having a lot of issues seeing when they pull out of the driveway because of the way the brush is growing out in the road. And they've noticed some of the other places that the brush cutting has happened in that area, and we're hoping maybe that y'all could run down the hill and do that one. That would be really greatly appreciated. So that's all I've got. Thank you again.
Easy one, but apparently I got more clout than Mr. Booth does on shoulder work, because our last meeting I brought up the shoulder work from C.W. Harmon's feet there, and when I started home, lo and behold, that was
I'll get you to speak up for me.
But But there's always a but there. As Linda said, y'all got it looking pretty up there and it works good. But that main curve right there at CW's, it washed it out. And, I mean, it's dangerous deep, and that's right up against the pavement.
Okay, yeah.
And, somebody drops a wheel off there that's,
Yeah, I noticed that the other day.
you lose a wheel or lose a life or something. But I appreciate the machine work. They got right on Reese Road that week too, and straightened it up. But like Mr. Yoder said, his son said, well, we still got washboards. And I said, well, like you put on the accelerator a little bit, you wouldn't have it, you know. Because it gets started up in the heels and get the wheels bouncing. And,
And that could be a day later, and it's
Right.
back.
Right. But I appreciate everything you do, and you know we got a lot of gravel work in our way, and so I really appreciate the job the guys are doing.
Thanks very much. And like I said, I think I've got side items for each of you, so I'll be in touch. Again, not major things, two of them we already talked about a little bit. And I owed you a meeting, and that was the one I wanted to talk to you about.
I'm sorry?
I owed you a meeting. We were going to get together on something.
Oh yeah. I meant
I'll get you
bring it up to you too. And need to call her and tell her, you know, we've just been tied up.
Yeah.
But if you got a minute, I'd like to speak to you before you leave. And has staff got anything? Nobody else got anything?